All right, let's see if I can do this without my selfie stick. It's just my arm. I am currently walking on Lynn Loop Trail. Got my backpack, a couple easels, and looking for a place to paint. I did hike through Varley Trail, but it was just so loud with the rushing water that I waited till we were on Lynn Loop Trail. So I parked by end of the line cafe, did Varley Trail, and then now I'm here. And I can share some snippets of what this trail looks like. This part is open and flat, but it was awesome to start on Varley Trail because actually in 2017, 6 years ago? No, can't. 6 years ago. Still, a while back, that was my first forest collection I did. And I, for that summer, just hiked and ran up and down Varley Trail. And so I only was painting paintings from that 2 kilometer stretch of trail, which was so much fun because it showed me how much opportunity there is to paint in just one location. I say that as here I'm hiking into Lynn Valley rather than stopping to paint everything I see. I'm just hiking farther and farther. So let's find a spot to sit so I can chat and be less out of breath. Woo, here we are. Alright, I just wanted to quickly show you, we have blue skies behind us, but it's because I brought my umbrella, that's why it is looking like there might be some sun peeking through. I think in my first video, I know in the first video in this series, I said I would paint every day in April, and I'm glad I did that because I did try to paint on 2 rainy days, and one paint wouldn't stick to my canvas or my panel, so it just washed off. So that didn't work out. And then the second time I hid under a dark roof, but I was in a dark roof and everything was bright and it just wasn't a fun painting time. So sometimes when you go to the extremes, you figure out what actually works. But I paused right here because I thought you might want to see this. Just a chassis with trees growing through it. So if you do decide to do this trail, there are kilometer markers along it so you can time yourself and know how far it is to get back. So here is the spot I decided to paint. It is extremely loud here from the crashing water. So I want to apologize first thing for the audio that's coming next. I'll end up describing what I'm painting or what my thoughts were from this painting and with the water in the background. But I decided not to edit it out because I really liked hearing myself talk, or at least I enjoyed hearing myself talk about what I was thinking when I was painting this in the moment, rather than me doing a voiceover like I am right now. And likewise, you did see me put a white canvas into the easel, and I quickly switched it for this brown one. I thought I'd work on the brown one. So I'm currently starting by placing the rocks in different shapes and continually cleaning my brush off in hopes that I can get the simple shapes. In hindsight, I think I should have spent more time doing a sketch with values. However, I forgot my pencil. So I'm missing both my pencil and my palette knife, and I found the pencil limited what I could do as far as sketching and planning ahead of time, and not having my palette knife, it jumbles the colors because I can't separate them into my palette. And I ended up painting this whole piece out of one brush. I'm just placing in all of those water shapes. Trying to darken and shape the tree that's overhanging. And I'll end up talking a bit about it later, but not even my camera could fit in all the things I wanted in this painting. So for some reason, I thought me, the painter, could fit in everything. And I knew it wouldn't work. And yet I still went ahead and did it. So now you can see me try to put all those shapes of the different rocks in, and I realize when I'm talking it through after that the shapes of the rocks are actually of similar value, so it's actually really hard to carve them out. I'm trying to carve the dark shadows in the rocks ahead. I keep checking over my shoulder to make sure that the camera's still recording. And this time I did bring gloves, which was great, but then at the very end, one of the lids fell off one of my paints, and I cleaned that up without wearing gloves. So it's still, I ended up getting paint on my pants and on my jacket. However, it was chilly there, so it actually was nice to wear some gloves. And before we switch over to me chatting in real time on location about the painting, I want to apologize again for the audio, but I chose to leave that in. So I just finished this painting. If I put in the clips, I ended up standing up, sitting down, going over there, over there, over there, and I tried so many different spots, and I wanted to get everything I saw in here because there's so many cool textures, there's so much water, and really love the rushing river, even though I find that difficult to paint, so I ended up putting this tree in there, I put that in there, and I couldn't figure out what the lightest light was and the darkest dark, and I'm not happy with the painting, but that's okay, because I sat here and I looked around, and that's all I needed to do, and so mission accomplished. But normally no one would ever see this painting, but because I am filming this for YouTube, you get to see the painting, and that not every painting that I do while I'm outdoors actually works out, and that's okay. Alright, so this is what I was trying to paint. The focus was this rock. You can see how it's got nice white form all around, and then two other rocks and the water coming between. So in my painting, there's that rock. I guess I never really did the water coming between, but if you check it out, I guess it is a slightly different value, but at the time when I was squinting, it looked very similar. So I painted it similar, and you just see kind of a brush stroke between. And this shadow was on this side of the rock, which is this shadow, and then you can see this is almost the same value as everything else, and that's why I have this almost the same value as everything else. And then you have it or I have it framed in with some random lines. So you can see those. Actually, it's not that different a value, but here I have it like white to middle value. So here you have still water, and then here you have rushing water, and then you have still water. So I wanted to get those shapes. So I was trying to get in those flat shapes here. And then, but I also wanted to get in the rocks underneath. So you have this stillness, but you can see it's all jumbly lines. So that's exactly what I tried to paint. And then here's that dark tree coming in, but I like how it's white behind it. So I was trying to like fill in a lighter light coming in between. So actually what's really neat now is those branches up there are lit by sun, and I wonder what it would look like if I just put some light colored branches up there. And I also struggled, this green is so vibrant that I've made it a different value, so it almost comes out yellow on a blue shaded rock here and looks out of place. So that's what I wanted to paint. And that's what I've painted so far. So maybe putting those branches in and lightening up the top might help. I don't think this painting's salvageable, but at least I gave it a go and I had fun looking at this scene. The other thing I liked was the view of this way. And then also as I was painting, I was admiring the view out this way. Look at all those rocks. That would be just as difficult to paint. So I need to find one of my usual paintings, which is more like back here. Why am I not painting that? Oh my goodness, that is so much better. Instead, I'm trying to do this. All right, let's go find something more my jam. And Lynn Loop Trail is finally veering away from the water, although now I'm going over water again. So it feels like I can actually speak, as I'm not sure if what I recorded while I was painting by the water even was picked up because it was just so loud. But that's the painting I did. Definitely not happy with it. Almost feel like cutting that completely from the video and pretending it never happened. However, at the same time, not every painting works out, and I knew it wasn't going to work out. And I even tried finding the scene in the viewfinder and couldn't see it, and still wanted to paint it, and I don't know what I was thinking. I am walking a little bit further, even though I know I probably don't have it in me, because this pack is way heavier than I wanted it to be. You can even see my umbrella, and I couldn't fit my water bottle back in. But I want to walk further because I can see, I don't know if you can see it, the mountains behind those birch trees are just in the fog or in the clouds. And I really want some reference photos of that. So my hope is if I go a little bit further, I can get some pictures of that. And hopefully, maybe I'll find a better spot to paint. We'll see. So I was on Lynn Loop Trail, and it keeps going to Cedar Mill Trail. But I can come back again. Those stairs look really high up from here. That is a big rock. up by the stairs. Whew. You can see there are some old stairs, and here are some new stairs. Opening with the mountain, and you can see even as I'm sitting here talking, you can see the clouds floating by. But I want to include, where's my finger? There, this treetop as well as this spot here. So, and then not center these trees, but you can see the trees are quite tall. So that's the final painting, and if I scroll up, that's funny I said scroll up. Let's try to darken this so you can see just those mountains off in the distance I was trying to capture. All right, I don't know how much battery I have left, so I thought I'd quickly show you the painting versus the view. So I really wanted to capture this area, which was the smaller trees on the mountain and then the trees in front. They're a little bit blurred, but after sitting and looking at it for a while, I can really see that this would work really well as a larger painting. So maybe I will take this one back to the studio and see what happens. But I really like these vertical lines contrasting with the greens and then the other shapes that are in there. So had a lot of fun painting this, and now I'll head back to the car and hopefully I'll have some battery to film some of the rest of the way going out, because the sun is coming out intermittently and it's just gorgeous in here. All right, so I'm walking out, and this time I ended up carrying both of the canvases, and then the new painting I did is kind of like a billboard on my back, which I don't like the billboard side, but I like that it's able to dry and not touch anything, because I kind of like that one way more than the water one I did earlier today. But the sun has come out and it's very pretty in here still, and I'll try my best to take as many photos as I can. Actually, I wonder how far a walk I have to the car. Probably a couple kilometers. And I definitely learned my lesson and took way too much today. And then first painting tried to do way too much. So smaller steps, smaller paintings, smaller ideas, and I will film something when I'm back in the car. That way I have unlimited battery to chat, and in the meantime see how many photos I can take. So I'm back at the car. It was probably about another 5K to get out of there. And of course the sun was out and I saw lots of things I wanted pictures of and to paint, but with no power on my phone, I decided I would just head out. And now I know if I do Lynn Loop, I should go counterclockwise and do the upper side first, because it just had a lot more lookouts, that things that I like to paint. Whereas I found staying low and going clockwise along Lynn Creek first, I found I was just struggling to see what am I going to paint, and almost in a panic I ended up finding a cool opening. Just ended up painting what I saw from there rather than being more mindful and waiting for something that is more my style of painting. And when I was painting down there, I didn't really see a focal point. It was kind of, I want to paint this experience, and trying to put everything in my vision. Even the camera couldn't pick up everything I wanted to include in the painting. And I should have flipped it to black and white, because when it's black and white, I can see the values, and I started noticing that the shapes that I was seeing, it was more my knowledge. I knew that was a rock, I knew that was water, but their values were the same. So when I went to paint them as separate shapes, there was a little bit of a struggle. So probably not the best scene to paint. That said, going up higher, I really like that view. And when I sat down to paint that complicated river scene, I knew it would be complicated, and I said to myself, like, it'll be a learning, worst case scenario, it'll be a learning experience, and best case scenario, it's a learning experience when you're painting outdoors. So that ended up working out well. The other thing I learned is probably I didn't need to take an umbrella. It was probably sunny because I took an umbrella, and I should have taken the power cord for my phone. That way I could have charged my phone, because I did have extra batteries with me from one of the other devices I was carrying. So while I was walking back, I also had a really neat idea, because my bag was heavy, so maybe panel and canvas is not the right thing to bring. I do have some, I tried using this word in another video, it's not foam core, but it's like a open core plastic panel, and it's super light. It's used for signage and for like real estate signs, and I can cut that to size, and then I've used that as a sandwich to hold papers. But I'm not keen on painting paper these days, because the paper, especially Stonehenge, that I like to use absorbs the colors. So I was thinking, what if I cut out pieces of canvas, so then I could mount them if I wanted to after. But if I cut out an opening where I can paint, then that's almost like a sandwich that stretches it, and I can clamp it down, paint in that area, and then I can sandwich something on top, and it can dry in there, and then I can pack it back. Because I actually had that painting on the back, and people coming by were complimenting me on the painting, which wasn't a bad thing. And then I can take raw canvas with me, and rather than re-stretching canvas each time I go. I can just, if the painting works out, I can stretch it, and if it doesn't, I can abandon it, and that's fine. And oh, being a local, I decided not to park in the paid parking area, and so it was an extra $2K in and an extra $2K out. And next time, I'm just going to bill my business for the $15 to go park right there, get in, paint, and get out. The benefit is that it's early in the season, so I was able to, I'm hardening myself up for longer hikes, but at the same time, I could have just taken advantage of parking over there. And because I'm not, if I was trail running, yes, it makes sense to get those extra 2K on flat going in. But in hindsight, I should have just paid for parking, and it would have been a faster trip. I could have gotten to the car, charged my phone. Yeah, it would have been even a better video too. I think it was a good day because I have a lot of ideas. Thank you so much for following this and all of the feedback on the other videos. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy seeing me try to figure out this plein air painting thing, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next painting. Bye now.